So, how do you find the balance between growing and being? Where is that fine line between feeling like you should be something more than you are and you always need to be growing versus just allowing yourself to be and enjoying life and enjoying the moment? Does it have to be one or the other, or can we find a balance of the both? Well, what we do on this channel is find that balance, find the synergy between the two opposite ends of the spectrum, find that balance point in the polarities. That's what this is all about. If you're new here, my name is Jaden, and this is PathTune, where we are charting a course towards the shores of your highest potential. And we do that by tuning your frequency, by aligning your personal energetic frequency to match the frequency of your highest and best life path. We're all walking a path, and where that path leads is determined by your actions, beliefs, thoughts, and your personal vibration. And if your personal vibration doesn't change over time, which to some degree everyone's does as we grow and we're constantly evolving either way, but to what degree do you allow yourself to change? And how much are you allowing yourself to be held back or limited by outdated, archaic belief systems of the past version of you? A good amount. That's normal. You've probably done work. If you found this video, you have absolutely done some work, and you can be proud of that. But within this video, this is going to be a message from your higher self channeled through me to you. I'm going to flow with this as I do. And I ask that you just take a breath, take a breather, hang out with me for a minute as we explore this concept. And there is a message in here for you. There's some ideas here for you that might trigger different behaviors, different actions, different thought processes. And then maybe that would help you. And my intention is that it will help you for your highest and best good to align yourself as you are now to the version of you that lives that dream timeline, that dream life, your highest potential, the fulfillment of your soul's desire. Whatever that is for you, because it's different for everybody. But this is about tuning inward and looking within and developing and expanding our consciousness in our minds. Because the mind is the filter that we experience reality, and our consciousness is all the greater I am of you. At least that's one way to look at it. Right? Everything is just a perspective. It's just a lens. These are just words with certain meanings attached to them. These are sounds coming out of my mouth. It's all about how you choose to interpret things. So when I can give you an idea, and then you can then look at something, look at it with a lens that now incorporates that idea, that can change the color of your experience. Our perception of reality is colored through our perspective. And my goal with this channel, with this video, is to help you build a high-level, balanced, multidimensional perspective so you can look at things from a higher point of view, but also from a more dynamic point of view that encompasses multiple perspectives at the same time. So that way you're not limited by only looking at something through a small little lens, but you can widen that lens and realize there's always more. There's always more. And we're never going to get it all until we pass over, and then maybe we'll get more connected. But that's part of this experience, is to experience the limitation. But it is my joy to see how close our minds can get to understanding. And we can get pretty close to the event horizon of the black hole. And the closer we get to the ultimate truth, I find that the closer we get, the more you start to realize that we're kind of making it all up. It's kind of all being created in your mind. And you can choose to look at that and then respond in two different ways. You can feel anxiety about it. It's like, oh, is nothing real? No, I mean, it depends on what you mean by real, by the word real. What is reality? It depends on how you define it. It all comes down to definitions of and words of, and that is the experience, because we experience in this life, in this human body, we experience, and with the physical, rational, logical mind, we want to categorize and label things, and that's a good thing, so that we can understand it, and the mind wants to understand. Different people have different minds, different tendencies. Not everybody wants to know the secrets and the answers to the universe. I get it. Some people are more okay with with feeling their way and flowing their way through life. And I that's a valuable perspective. That is a valuable way to go through it. But I have learned about myself, and I've continued to grow, right? We're always changing, but I know about myself that my joy, and that's what's important, right? What do you find joy in? I find joy in exploring the concepts and allowing my mind to ask the questions and ponder and contemplate and explore the depths of the subconscious and the depths of the unknown, and see how close we can get to a higher level understanding. There's always more to go. You're never at the top. But I trust that you probably share a similar perspective if you're finding yourself on this video, or if you're choosing to be here. Because we are going kind of deep on this channel. Really deep. We're questioning everything about reality. Not everybody wants to do that, and that's okay. And there's still absolutely value in not going that deep with the mind and simply being. Because that's what we are anyway, is the being in the present moment. But I do believe there is value with the mind, because we have a mind for a reason. And it is to help us and enable us to experience this life as a human. So come with me if that interests you. If these ideas and concepts interest you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It is a way for you to support the channel if you would like to support. I would appreciate it, and it does help the channel grow, and it is free. Let's get into it, shall we? I'm going to clear this space, clear the energetics of you and our space here together as we're hanging out together with these tincture symbols. And we're going to do this with intention. As I do this, just use it as an opportunity to take some deep breaths and release with intention, to let go of the tension, let go of the stress and anxiety. Just set it down for a little bit. Give yourself permission to set it all down, and let's just explore this idea between feeling like you always need to be making progress and improving and growing versus just being. What are the two different perspectives there? We're going to outline them, and then we're going to merge them and see what that looks like for you. What that looks like actually grounding that into a physical reality or an experience of reality on a day-to-day level. How can you take both of these perspectives and then embody that as a more balanced being? This is a you can look at that as a part 2. It's a continuation of yesterday's video. But I felt like it needed a little bit more. So we're going to go with it and see what we come up with. Or see what flows, what channels through. See what messages there are to flow. So let's go for it. As I said, just take some deep breaths with the intention to release as you exhale. Right? And the reason I find using frequency as a tool for clearing and frequency reset, it's similar to the concept of using this with crystals. Did you know that you can clean your crystals with sound? It's one way to do it. And the reason we need to do that is because just like people, crystals pick up energy, and some of that energy can get stored and get stuck on its energetic field. So, and if you go back to even using a scientific perspective, it's all energy, right? It's all empty space. 99.99% of the atom is empty space. And I'm going to keep saying that because there is that part of my brain that's like, we got to root this in logic and science. And I do want to have both sides acknowledged, and we find the middle point. That's what this is all about. I'll just say a little bit more about that purpose of this channel, because I wrote down some notes. I basically said it with that, but at PathTune, we are harmonizing the yin and the yang, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the push and the pull, the action and the receiving, the effort and allowance, the action-based strategy and the harmonizing non-physical. For example, doing methods like productivity and outlining your goals and creating a millionaire morning routine that's aligned with you. I love that stuff, and I will absolutely go into that in the future. But at this point in my journey, a past version of myself would have just done that, where we talk about goal setting, mapping things out, strategizing, and creating a morning routine that's optimized for you to prime yourself and prime your perspective. All of that's still great. And that's a super useful tool because every night we kind of like reset in a way. And so it really helps to trigger your perspective and it basically building a perspective. Like you got to build it back up again in the morning. So that morning routine, making it in a way where you're triggering certain thoughts and you're reminding yourself of certain perspectives and crafting a perspective that is absolutely a beautiful tool. And I do think it's necessary in order for you to make progress, achievements in the direction of what you want. But it's a balance now that in the last video I talked about the old way and the new way. It's like that's more of the old way of manifesting, although it is a little bit more on this middle ground or a little more towards the new energetic allowance frontier of the more of a being. It, in the sense of like crafting a perspective and priming yourself, that's getting more into the energy side of it. But there is a channel open to us where we don't have to do as much as we used to have to do. But we will explore that a little bit more. But that morning routine, the strategy, the goals, it's now about doing them in an aligned way and balancing the action of that with the being, the tuning of embodying the frequency of your higher version of yourself and your highest self, bringing heaven to earth. It's about both now. And sometimes if you've been in that projective energy of constantly feeling like it's need to go, do, perform, achieve, I totally get that way of being. I totally understand it. And there's a lot of value in it. And oftentimes, and this may be a perspective that is rooted in the old paradigm, but oftentimes, if you look at the past, the biggest achievements and the biggest success, and you have to define success and what it means for you, right? But success meaning like multi-million-dollar businesses, a well-balanced life where you don't just only have the financial freedom, but you have the happy family life, you're healthy, you're fit, you're doing your passions and doing what brings you joy. Like all of those elements of life, it takes effort to not only balance everything, but get your physical situations and circumstances and craft them and build them and change your reality to a point to where it matches your desired circumstances. You don't just go from A to B, A being on the East Coast and E being on the West Coast of the country. You don't just get from A to B by feeling your way there. Now, like I said, that may just be only rooted in the old way of manifestation, the old perspective of the hard work. But I do think that there's still value in that perspective because the people that have created their dream life, they made a sacrifice. They did what it took. They did the work on themselves and they did the work in the external to produce results. So there is that element of being willing to make a sacrifice and pay the price, because everything has a price. Pay the price for what you want. And maybe that price is not going out and partying on the weekends for a little while, and instead investing in yourself. The price is spending your time, investing your time differently. Investing your resources differently. But there is an element of taking action to produce results. I don't think that's gone away. And I may be wrong. But I really don't at this point believe you can just instantly step into a different reality without taking any physical action. Some of those actions may be changing yourself and healing certain things and tendencies and outdated belief systems. Those are still actions. So yes, those count as actions. But for instance, if you want to make more money, and we don't make money, clarify. If you want to earn more money, which you need to be able to bring something of value to the marketplace, so that way you can exchange the value for money. If you don't bring something of value to the marketplace, why would you earn money? Why would there be an action and reaction Why would there be a reaction to no action? It goes against the laws of the physical reality. And although laws are not truly universal laws, they're observed regularities of this physical realm. They're pretty regular, as far as we can tell. The sun goes down, the sun comes up every morning, and so we can count on it coming up tomorrow. It has for as long as recorded history. As far as we can tell, it's going to come back up. We don't think when the sun comes down. We don't worry about it. We know it's coming back. And that's because of the observed regularity of the cycle. But let's jump into the two different perspectives, and let's find that harmony balance point in between. My tablet went to sleep. Gotta reconnect it. I swear that it times out faster than it used to with this new update it got. All right. Hello. So we say, what do we say? We are saying growing versus being. Right? And this is just a perspective. This is one way to look at it. This is not all encompassing, but you have to choose a perspective, and the different lenses you take can bring in colored information back through that lens. In a previous video, I think it was rising above or breaking free or of your lower self. Something like that. And at the end of that video, we did a meditation with the different archetypes of the lover, magician, sovereign, and warrior. And you'll notice if you connected those different archetypes within the collective unconscious, or your unconscious or subconscious or superconscious, however you want to look at it, those different archetypes you can look at them as personas or characters. If you connect to that archetype of intelligence, then you ask it a question, your consciousness will then filter the answers through that lens, and then you'll get tailored information from that perspective coming through. Whereas in that anchor point of the archetype, it allows your mind to then form a channel for the information to flow through. But if you don't have an anchor point of an archetype, of a perspective to look through, then it's basically like trying to drink the entire ocean at once. It's connecting to all information and all intelligence. Like you can't. It's too chaotic. It's not streamlined enough to be able to pick apart specific details or specific threads of energy that are going to be useful for you. So it helps to be able to narrow that channel in a certain lens and a certain perspective, and we can do that through our intentional creation of connecting to an archetype or a specific personality or character or being, and give them a name. If it's from what like I was saying about the event horizon, and the closer you get to like your mind trying to comprehend it all or the truth, it's like the truth is the black hole. It's like you can never really fully know it all. And so, but once you get closer, you start to understand that we really are making it all up, and it's all being created by the mind. But that doesn't mean that it's not real. That doesn't mean that your experience is not valid and real. But it is putting a much greater deal of responsibility in your creations And if you choose to look at it the way that I'm bringing forth right now, where it's like yes, I'm creating this, say, persona, and I'm going to ask this archetype, and I may call it another being. I may call it connecting with whatever spirit guide or whatever. It's like on the highest level, all of those everything is one unity consciousness, right? Okay, so this is a perspective, right? But if you take it so at its highest level is one, and then the one at its highest level we have unity, and then everything breaks off from that. It's like the sun, and we're all just different rays of the sun. But are we truly different, or are we just a part of the whole? Right? Because we're all connected, and we're all expressions of the divine, one consciousness. This is a perspective. I'm just going to keep saying that because I'm not saying this is the way it is. This is a way to look at it. But if you take this perspective and you understand that, okay, at the highest level it is one, and then as we descend down into physical reality, it breaks off and we have polarity, and then that creates the dark and the light, and then that creates, instead of one, now it's two, and then the two goes to the 3 and 4, and then it begins to get more complicated, and it fractalizes even more. But at its highest level, everything is one, if you take that lens. So then if that's the case, the archetypes of, and so we have different levels of consciousness and dimensions. You can look at them as dimensions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, going up infinity. And so they'll say that like different people in spiritual communities will say that angels or seraphim or like certain, the Akashic records, different realms of intelligence, different beings, will exist at different dimensions. So that the angels are here in the 7th, and then these are here in the 9th, and these people are over here in the 12th. It's like my mind is trying to understand that, and I just figured I'd share this with you. But one way to look at this that I kind of came up with, or that I connected to, is that, well, if you take the whole aspect of like it all being unity at the very highest level, then everything is basically a part of the same and is the same thing. Okay, stay with me. So just taking that, leaving it there on the shelf, coming down a little bit more. Yeah, but my mind wants to label and categorize and understand. Okay, yeah. And so we can get a little closer. Your mind is good for doing that because your mind gives you the ability to experience separation and limitation. And that's why we're here. And it's about finding our way on the path back to a unity consciousness. But if we were at the unity consciousness, we wouldn't be having the human experience. So it's being here, down here as a human, is not about trying to get back up there, because we'll get back up there when we cross. When this body's done, we'll be like, oh yeah, now I know everything again. I want to go back. This is, it's actually part of why we're here, is to not know it all. So I don't think it's necessarily about trying to reach that God point of unity while we're here as a human. But I do think it's about enjoying the ride, healing yourself in that journey of making mistakes and then learning and then growing through the process, having experiences, right? Because the physical human experiences, relationships, interactions with others, oh, there we go. All of those experiences as a human, these are experiences that non-physical beings don't get to experience. So this gives us a perspective of what it's like to feel. Like, we feel emotions so strongly. We have the hardware and the matrix to allow us to experience such a visceral, tactile experience. And this experience then gives our consciousness a certain perspective. And then, as the ascended masters, one thing that I heard was that the ascended masters, being like the archetypes or the consciousness, say of Yeshua or Buddha or Saint Germain, or humans that were once human but then reached enlightenment. I heard from one perspective that actually that they're up here, and who knows, maybe the numbers of the dimensions aren't necessarily hierarchical. That's obviously not a word, but like, it's not a hierarchy. It could not be a hierarchy. Maybe it is. I don't know. But if we take it as 12 being 12th dimension, higher vibrational, higher expanded consciousness and awareness, if we do take that lens, then the ascended masters are chilling up here at the 12th, and then say angels, which are also just like the word angles. And so there's a perspective about what angels are relating to angles and certain angles. I'll look back into that and I'll come back to you with that. But say the angels are here on the 7th dimension. That gave me the idea that, like, wow. So you're telling me that a human that reached nirvana and enlightened their consciousness and is chilling up here above the angels? How in the world could that be? Because we view angels as like godly beings. But here's the thing about the archetype or the character of an angel, is that angels have not been humans before. Isn't that interesting? Sorry, you couldn't see that. Man, I'm just going to go back so you can see. Oh, wait, maybe I can't. I don't know where I don't know where I ended off where you stopped being able to see. But I was just like, these are the different layers of those different dimensions. Okay? And then, yeah. And I'm talking and I'm scratching around, pointing arrows at stuff as I do. Draw another stick figure. Wow, that's new. And then I'm drawing 12, 7, so those are dimensions. So this is the perspective of that. If the ascended masters were up on the 12th, in the 12th being more expanded in a higher level perspective, that kind of clicked for me. Like, that would kind of make sense, although it doesn't feel that it's like, it's like, who are we to be? This isn't better, right? But the ego and the mind wants to say better. Who are we as a human to evolve to a higher level than an angel? Like, is that truly actually possible? Well, maybe it is. And you know why? Why that might make sense is that because we had the experience of being a human here on physical reality and on Earth, it gave us perspective. And so the angel never was a human. They've just been chilling up here in the high dimensional realm, doing their best, guiding, helping out. But they haven't been a human. So they can only help so much because they really haven't experienced what you're going through. But the archetype of an ascended master, like Yeshua, the good guy, he went down to the depths of hell. You can look at Earth as Earth is basically what you make it. Like, it's heaven or hell. Those are states of mind, states of being, from what I understand. But you can experience hell here on Earth for sure, but you can also experience heaven. And I do believe that there is an aspect where we are open to experiencing heaven here on Earth, because as we, like I was saying, if when we cross over and we're done with this body and we go back up into a higher dimension, or we expand outward beyond this physical, we're now connected back to the mainframe even more so, because we don't have all the limitation of the hardware we're in. And so now we know so much more. We are more omniscient. And so now it's like, oh, there's not as many surprises. I kind of know what's going to happen. And I see the past, present, future all at once. And it's this moment. And I love this moment. This moment's great. But I don't really feel too strongly about it because I don't experience any separation from it. I am just existing and I am here. Does that sound like heaven? Or does heaven sound like being able to create your own adventure and have the mystery and the excitement of not knowing and finding out and figuring it out along the way and stepping into the unknown and taking the leap of faith and seeing what happens next and having no clue and then discovering and having revelations and going on a quest for something more, a greater journey. There's a destiny that awaits you, and you're going on your journey of exploration and development, and you're meeting people along the way, and you're creating collaborations, you're creating art, you're experiencing things you've never experienced before. That sounds pretty heavenly to me. But it's all about what you make it, right? You can absolutely have the opposite experience of that on Earth as well. But I do think that this could be heaven and we're in it right now. Anyway, I think that if we do take the concept that the Ascended Masters being at a higher level of consciousness than an angel, not better than the angels. And I'm not saying they're up to the God unity level. Maybe I shouldn't put 12 right there. Maybe I should put 12 like right here. Because there's much more before the unity. Right? I want to make that distinction. I didn't mean to put that above the unity mark, which would be what we call God. But, and this is what I'm literally, this is an idea. We're exploring the idea. This is one way to look at it. There's more ways than one to look at this. You can look at God as a guy up in the clouds with that dictates everything with a magic wand if you want to. Big sky daddy with a magic wand, as Billy Carson said. You can look at that if you want, but that just doesn't make too much sense for me. But it's all about, like I was saying, with the perspective. It's like, it doesn't really matter how you choose to look at it, because we're all connected to it anyway. So whatever works for you to frame it, to color it, to put a lens on it. It's all your mind anyway. If you do choose to look at it as a father archetype up in the sky, then that works. That's all good. You're still connecting to it. And you're just experiencing it through that lens. All good. Whatever works. And that's where that comes back down to what I was saying before, is that this experience as a human is completely created by your mind. Like, your entire perceptual experience is created in your head, in your mind. I'm not saying that other people don't exist, but what I'm saying is every way that you see situations and understand things and connect to information and what it means and how it fits into the bigger puzzle, and even even like imaginary archetypes where we give it a concept of a perception of the way whatever you think God is, or whatever the higher source is for you, whether it's angels or spirit guides or aliens, ETs, extra dimensionals, like whatever it is, it's all being like that archetype of the character being that you're communicating with, or that you're connecting to. That archetype of a personality is coming through the hardware, the matrix of your mind. And your imagination is then creating an anchor point of a being, and I guess it's up here. You're creating a target so that channel of information can then flow through, because now you can connect with something that allows your mind to understand and comprehend and grasp and visualize and build a meaning and a persona even around it. So then now it's easier for your mind to allow that channel to happen. But if it was just a blanket of clouds, it has no personality. It has no specific perspective at all. So it's like trying to get every perspective at one time, and that's like information overload. We can't handle that happening. And yes, I think all of existence and all of reality and all of nature is constantly like, that information is like, also that's like the Akashic, right? Like, all that information is always there. It's just like on a radio, we tune in, like there's music all around us right now. I need to get the radio plugged in so we can do that. It's right here, but it's on the ground. I'm not going to get down there. But if I were to tune in and just turn on the radio right now and start to turn the dial, we'll find a song. And then I turn it a little more, we'll find a different song. It's right here. Like, the music is here now, all around us. And we just have to tune into that specific channel. And that specific frequency, that channel, is like a specific archetype of a, when you're connecting to a certain character or being with a personality, it's like your mind is giving it that frequency, or that specific frequency, so that then that information can flow through in that way. Does that make sense? That, I know that was kind of a long-winded. It's difficult to put words to something so high level, vast of what I'm trying to get across, and I hope that came through all right. Let me know if you got something from that, or let me know what you think of that. If that was valuable to you or not, or if that just didn't make any sense at all. I understand it. I understand what I'm trying to say to a certain degree, not completely, but helping me being able to speak it really does help ground the understanding a bit more. But I think that makes sense to be able to conceptualize this, that if the ascended master, the enlightened consciousness that lived the human life instead of the angel that never lived, this got the person here on the ground perspective, because they lived the experience of separation. They lived the experience of the human life, which is a very it can be a very challenging experience. It's a very raw experience, and it's a visceral experience. As I said, it's you got the highs and the lows and everything. You feel so strongly, and things are dense. When you leave the body, from what I understand, it feels like you just got a weight lifted off of you. Like you're able to breathe again. It's the expansiveness, and you obviously don't feel it in the same way as you would feel it in the body. So that's just another way to look at what it would be like, but it wouldn't be like you being a human feeling like a weight lifted off your shoulders. It would, who knows? Because we just interpret everything through the mind and the human experience. So that kind of comes back to what I'm saying is that although that's one way to look at it, where it's like, okay, that could make sense that they're able to have a more expanded consciousness or a higher level perspective because they went down and experienced that polarity and separation right here. Whereas this other archetype of intelligence didn't or doesn't have that perspective of the lower end. I keep doing that. I'm getting caught in the flow, and so I forget to switch over. But I was just saying, we went down here, experience polarity, the human, so then we're able to go higher versus an archetype right here that never went down. They're still at a high level, but they don't have the perspective that enabled them to get a broader perspective. And I guess you could look at dimensions as levels of perspective. That's one way to look at that. I'm not saying that's what dimensions are, but that's one perspective. And I think that's fun. That's pretty cool and fun to look at it that way. And maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something to that. Let me know what you think, if you think there's something to that. But wow, we didn't even go into the whole. I got caught on that tangent, man. And I mean, I think it was a good thing. I think that was meant to come out right now. But just to wrap it up in terms of what I originally said we were going to talk about is growing versus being. In short, and maybe I don't really need to go into it that much because in the last video we talked about the two sides. I'll go back. So this would be the growing, and this would be the being, right? And just because you're being, like you're always being, and you're always growing and evolving. So I'm not saying that if you're being, you're not growing, right? But it's more about the intention of how you're directing yourself in your mind and your experience and your energy. If you're always focused on growing, doing, need to become more, I'm not enough. Yeah, you can then use that as motivation to produce great results. You can produce a lot of results. You can take a lot of actions and produce a lot of change in your reality. Create a lot of things. And I do think that there is value in being driven. But the other side of the coin is life is short, so enjoy it while it lasts. And if you're not enjoying the growing process, if you're always feeling like you're not enough and you're not doing enough and you're super critical of yourself and you don't allow yourself to just enjoy life. And I like the word enjoy. I remember, and I haven't gotten one in a while, but I was on one of my Oreo shake kicks, like, I don't know, a year ago, where I just started to binge out on Oreo shakes. And I've gotten so much better. Like, I haven't had an Oreo shake in probably like 4 to 6 months. And I don't actually want it. And so that's probably like a frequency thing too, right? Like what what I'm aligned with, and also just the knowing of like how it affects my body and what's actually in those things. It's like I start to, once you start to like really be aware of it, and then also like develop more love and respect for yourself, and you want to take care of your body more because you love yourself more. And it's like that love is always there, but it's like connecting to like, oh yeah, I do really care and I do want to take care of myself. Maybe I shouldn't do that to my body. And it does affect me. It affects my vibration, and it doesn't, like, the sugar is so bad for you. It is so bad for you. So like, why would you do something to hurt yourself? You know? Well, I know why. And it's the addictive tendencies, and sugar is so addictive. Um, and it's also the dopamine and the freaking probably parasites too, right? Because everyone, we won't get into that, but it's like, that's a thing. Anyway, gotta do the parasite cleanse. But then there's other perspectives on that where it's like, well, no, the parasites are supposed to be there because they eat heavy metals. So it's your body's way of detoxing heavy metals. It's like, I think it's good to do a parasite cleanse. Yeah. Different video, different topic. Moving on. Enjoy life. The point of why I said that was because this came into my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, I like that word. The word enjoy. When she gave me my Oreo shake when I was at the drive-thru, she said, "Enjoy," and I'm like, I will. And I like that because enjoy sounds like enjoy. Enjoy. So here, take this enjoy. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna freaking be enjoy on this Oreo shake experience. So that's why I now I now have a new appreciation for the word enjoy, because it sounds like enjoy, and so enjoying something is being enjoy, and that's a great vibration and feeling to be in. Just thought I'd share that idea with you. But it's enjoying life and allowing yourself to enjoy life where you are. You know? It's like you don't always have to be doing something. We are human beings, not human. These are more doings. We're not human doings. But we also are so good at doing. So it's this paradox where it's like we have this potential to do great things. You have a great potential within you to do great things. You are going to, and you have done great things. And that's what humans do. They do. We build. But at the same time, we also know how to be, and how to just exist with nature, as a part of nature, as an expression of nature. So everybody finds their own balance between these two. And that balance is not just like it's a 50-50. It's a ebb and a flow. It's a push and a pull. It's the different situations bring different parts. Knowing work hard, play hard, right? It's being able to navigate the waters of tuning into yourself to know, is it time to rest? I think it's time to rest. Is it time to take massive action? I think it's time to take massive action. I feel the call. I'm answering it. Different experiences for different points on the journey. So tune into yourself. Ask yourself, is it time for rest or is it time for action? What is it for you? Let me know in the comments. And it might be action for a little bit, and you do a solid push, and then you take a little bit of a rest, and you do a solid push, and you take a little bit of rest. But the thing is don't let me tell you what to do. But one idea is, don't let the rest last for too long, because then you lose momentum. And momentum is a powerful thing. So it's that balance of keeping and building momentum, but then also allowing yourself to rest. And so that rest can look in different ways. That rest could look as play. The rest could be looking as just connecting with nature. It could look like just making sure you get a solid night's sleep. Like last night, I slept for 10 hours or 10 and a half hours. But that was after a full week where even on the first day of the week where I was working and I was doing an event, I had a 20 and a half hour shift. It was I literally worked from 11:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock the next day. And then come back at 6 a.m. for the next 5 days or 4 days or something. And then those were 12-hour days after that. So I was like low on sleep for an extended period of time. So I allowed myself to get a great night's rest last night, and I slept longer than I normally would have. But now I'm feeling great again. So there's an example. Another one is like with this 30-day challenge I'm doing, where I'm on, I don't even know. We'll see. I'm on 20 something. I've committed to that. And so I'm doing it because I decided I'm doing it. And so I'm building momentum by consistently continuing to take the action. And there was on that day where I worked that 20 and a half hour shift, you know what I did? Is I knew I was going to work that long shift. And so I wasn't going to be able to record a video that day after or whatever. And so the day before I went to work at that 11:30 at night, I recorded 2 videos that day. One outside, you'll see it. It probably it's posted before this one. It's the one of me outside on the lake with the lake in the background. And then I also did one here once it got dark. So that was my way of still sticking to my challenge, even though my environment, my circumstances wouldn't physically allow me to stick to the challenge. I didn't let that stop me, because the rules can kind of shift a little bit as long as you're keeping yourself accountable. Like, okay, I missed a day, I'm going to make up for it. So I'm still doing good. And I'm still holding myself to that standard of keeping the challenge going. And then, even though some days I don't feel like it, like doing it anyway, that's part of this growing and doing it. It's like doing it when you don't feel like it, because we're not always going to feel like it. And that's the big distinction, and I think a huge value in the more emperor projective mode of manifestation, that the aspect of that is doing it when you don't feel like it. And I really hope you saw the whole enjoy thing and everything I wrote. Sorry, it's late. It's 11:54 p.m. right now. But that's just an excuse. I just missed that. I'm not as aware of what I'm doing. I think I'm just very engaged in what I'm saying, so I'm not focusing on what's actually on the screen that you're seeing. But there's this element of doing it when you don't feel like it, like doing it anyway, because you can't count on you feeling like it all the time. And that's what a commitment is. That's what discipline is. Do you always feel like going to the gym? No, but you do it anyway. That's discipline. And it does take discipline to a certain degree. Like maybe you don't have to go completely off the rails with it, but it takes a certain level of discipline to conduct yourself in a manner where you produce results. Now, like I said, maybe that is rooted in the old paradigm of success and creation and manifestation. Maybe there is a new way, a new channel that's opened up where we don't have to do as much, but there still requires some action and discipline. I don't see how that would go away. So you can't count on yourself always feeling like doing it. But that's where making a commitment and making a promise to yourself and keeping the promise and doing what you say you're going to do, developing that integrity within yourself. That is when if you know you can count on yourself, if you say something, you know you are actually going to do it. That's self-reliance. And building that is a cornerstone to being able to produce change in your reality, because you are the one that's going to create the change in partnership with the divine, with your higher mind, with the guiding principle and the organizing principle of synchronicity. So it's both. It's tuning yourself and embodying the frequency of your higher self and bringing that heaven to earth, stepping into the shoes of the version of you that lives your highest life path. And there's elements about that which is a healed. You're healed. You no longer have these limitations, these limiting beliefs. Like you work on all that. You're heart centered. You are in flow. You're feeling good. You have integrity. It's like you create all those aspects about yourself, and then that embodies a certain frequency. That is part of the being side of manifesting. And then you also develop the self-reliance in doing what you say you're going to do. And if you don't feel like doing it, but you made a commitment doing it anyway. And then finding that balance between, okay, I didn't make the commitment. I didn't make a promise to myself about this. And I was going to do this, but I really don't feel like it's aligned with me right now. I just feel a very disharmonic energy with doing that. I'm actually not going to do that. I was going to go out and do this. I've done that before. I literally had a concert that I paid for. It was only like $35-$40, but like I paid for a concert ticket a few months in advance. And then once the time came where it was like, and normally I would always go, but once the time came where I was sitting at home and I was just, sorry, there's a fly or a mosquito type of thing. Once I came time to leave for the show, I was like, I really don't feel like going. Like, not really any part of me, maybe a small part, wants to go right now. I would truly rather stay here in my house and enjoy my own company and just be here in my house. So I didn't go, and I bought the ticket, and I chose not to go. And granted, if it was one of my more favorite bands, then I would have still gone. But that's just an example of like in the moment, you may change your mind. And that's being more on the flow side, flowing with it, tuning in, right? So it's both. It's not versus, it's both. And that's what we're doing on the channel, is harmonizing the two. And you are both being and growing and doing. You're doing the whole thing. You're being the whole thing. And it's all finding your dance with it. And the past video, I talked about that as well. This is kind of an echo of the past video. But we jumped into a whole different tangent about freaking unity consciousness and God and different dimensions, which I didn't really expect to go into. But I hope you liked that. I mean, that's just me kind of unspooling this idea that I just came across today. And, I don't have it all figured out, but I do think that there's something there to like that perspective of it that I laid out for you. So That kind of brings you to the end of that message. Is it's you finding that balance between the action and the receiving, you know, the allowing, the play, the joy, the tuning in, the flowing with the discipline and doing what you say you're going to do and making shit happen. Finding that balance and flow is different for every person. And that's where I'm going to say it. I'm probably going to say this in every video, but it really comes down to you developing self-awareness and knowing yourself better. Because that gives you the ability to be able to more skillfully navigate this experience. So if you don't know where to start there. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll do more videos on how to gain more self-awareness. But like, you already know yourself pretty well, but there's always more. There's always different parts of yourself you can learn more about. And the exploring the shadow is, Carl Jung really did a lot of foundational concepts on that and what the shadow is of the human psyche. That's something great to go into, because once you acknowledge your shadow and heal that, then it's like you can become whole. But until you have, the shadow is like the unacknowledged parts of yourself. So if there's these aspects of you that are still existing, but you're not aware of them, and they're only in the lurky waters of the subconscious, they're still influencing your behavior. They're influencing your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. So how do you expect to make great change and step into a different frequency, and the frequency of your highest path, if you have unacknowledged things that you're not aware of? Like, you need to shine light on those things so that way you can integrate yourself and become whole. Then you can intentionally shift your entire being. But if half of you is over here, you're only consciously shifting this half. This half's keeping you stuck in the past, in the lower version of you. So that's why it really does start with going within. It does. It really does. Anywhere you want to go, it's really starts with you working on yourself. Any change, any positive change you want to make in your life starts within. And as within, so without, it reflects. It really does. It will reflect. It will reflect in your actions, your behaviors, the way other people treat you, the way you treat other people, the circumstances, the things you say yes or no to, boundaries, belief in yourself, things you'll take, opportunities that you'll take, things that you'll begin to then, through the being, through the frequency, begin to attract. It all starts to move in a different direction when you become more whole and less fractioned. So I loved this. This was so good. Great message. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here with me today and hanging out with me on this one. I really do appreciate your time, and thank you for investing your time in yourself, for expanding your mind, expanding your consciousness by being willing to be open to these ideas. It was my pleasure to serve you today, and I will see you on the next video.